Your weekly pint of sports juice, presented by the Keys Leisure Centre Preston. Eat, drink and bowl at the Keys sprawling beer gardens, lanes, arcade, bar and bistro. Let's go, lads. Boys, I've got one for you. If you had to pick...
Not food.
Oh, come on. No, it's not food. No, it's not food.
That's boring.
No, it's not,
Anyway,
it's not. Anyway, if you had to pick one sport for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, that's better. To play or to
just be just be a part of it only and be surrounded by?
Mud wrestling.
Hookie's in the mood tonight. Just with our pre talks.
Well, how does mud wrestling get you into a mood?
No, I'm just saying.
What do you mean? I'm sorry. How does it get you in the mood?
Well, a different type of mood. Absolutely.
Yeah. To participate in golf, okay. Obviously you can do that. You can do that like right into your old age. To watch continuously. It's line ball between AFL and cricket. Probably cricket.
So you haven't answered the question properly though. You can choose one sport. You can't just keep. You don't sit on the fence. Choose one.
Well, I guess you got to stay active. So yeah, and right into your old age. So I'm going to choose golf.
Sammy?
Okay.
You delivered the question. Answer
it. It's hard for me because I enjoy playing golf. I don't enjoy watching it as much.
You could be a goaltender in hockey.
Yeah, I could be. Look, I'd probably say ice hockey.
All
right. Because it is a worldwide sport. AFL is a bit limited with who can play and all that sort of stuff as far as countries and competitions go. Cricket is definitely not my forte. So, yeah, I'd have to say probably hockey.
Fair point.
Andrew.
Now, hooky, come on. Serious answer.
And don't say jelly wrestling.
Oh, jeez, it's not bad either. Go cricket because, if a 15-year-old can dominate a competition, why can't a 50-year-old dominate a competition?
That's fair.
In like the thirds or the fourths. So we'll go cricket.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Well, while we're on the topic of cricket, we've actually got some big breaking news.
Yeah, this has just come across our desk.
Not even the Enigma is aware of.
Okay.
So we will be one of the few earlier press releases, really.
Yep.
Read away, Hook.
Well, today has officially ended the Melbourne Stars and the Melbourne Renegades. There will be no Melbourne Stars. There will be no more Melbourne Renegades. Staff of Cricket Victoria were informed today, and they informed both parties, that we're going to have one Melbourne team. We don't know what the nickname's going to be. They're going to be playing at the MCG, but if for Melbourne Stars and Melbourne Renegades fans, that rivalry that's coexisted with the BBL over 2 decades now, or close to, it is no more.
Oh, I'm just seeing it come up on my socials right now.
Oh,
wow.
good timing.
Cricket Victoria has decided to sell the second license entirely. So will we have an 8th franchise from another state? So maybe Queensland will get 2 franchises, Western Australia, or I know there's been talk about New Zealand possibly entering a team in our Big Bash League.
That makes sense.
Well, they've got their own domestic T20 competition, so that might cause a conflict of interest as well. But that is massive, massive news. And you know what? It's all because, there's been, they haven't been able to decide whether or not to sell the franchises to billionaires in India. And I reckon this is a decision as a result of the uncertainty around the ownership of these franchises. But a massive blow. Being a big Melbourne Stars fan and being Norgal members, Pete, this is a real bitter blow.
Yeah, look, I've got mixed feelings about it. Obviously, the one is that, me and you, Hookie, obviously, like you said, we've been foundation members of the Melbourne Stars Ever since Warney picked the Melbourne Stars, we
Yep.
picked the Melbourne Stars. And the fact that they played at the MCG ticked us over into their favour as well. But the fact that we never won the actual competition as the Melbourne Stars, that's really, really going to hurt. And the fact that the Renegades did, that one really hurts.
against
Who was
the
more
Melbourne Stars too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Who was the more successful out of the two overall? You would probably have to say the Melbourne Stars, reaching multiple finals, semi-finals, and the like. Just always fell at the last hurdle. So we had success along the way. We had some good times. So the one thing I do want to see though is if this merger obviously is true and is going ahead. One thing I want to see. Call us the Bush Rangers.
Well, that's what I was saying.
That's a throwback.
That will unite Victoria. That will unite all cricket fans. That will unite the older generation as well.
Yeah.
And also we'll get the younger generation on board because it's T20 cricket. So I think that if they're gonna merge and they're gonna do it the right way, I know it's a step sort of, I guess, backwards to what Cricket Victoria used to be. But I think it would be the right move. The only thing I can see getting in their way is the fact that a part of me thinks that they took the Bush Ranger logo away because it's associated with guns and, breaking the law.
To be fair, though, a lot of the states don't call them by their nicknames they had in the past. So New South Wales, New South Wales Blues, South Australia aren't the Redbacks. So I think it's just been a nationwide thing that these cricket states don't call themselves by their nicknames anymore.
Yeah. So look, I really want it to be the Bush Rangers. Would we be playing with the Victorian top?
Well, they've confirmed we will be wearing navy blue. That's been confirmed.
Okay. All right. So we'll take that. That's a win. Look, there's two ways of looking at it, and I sort of sit on the fence with this one. There's a positive and a negative, I think.
No, to be honest, I think right now it's a negative because let's be honest, all the Stars gear I've got, I'm not gonna wear that to a Melbourne Bush Rangers game. If that's,
I think you should. I don't see why you can't. Why can't you?
It's a new identity. Look,
it's like Pete wearing his Melbourne Heart stuff to a City game.
Yeah,
same thing.
Yeah, it's true. There'll be a part of it.
It's going to become retro and cool soon.
It will be part of the history.
Exactly right.
We've got so much stuff, Hookie, that it will become sort of collectors sort of items in the future.
eBay. So on eBay.
Marketplace is where it's at.
Marketplace as well. Of course, and funnily enough, that news came at the same time that Sydney Thunder have announced that Freddie Flintoff will be their new coach for the upcoming BBL. So that's a big name coming down on our shores. Let's get to the good, bad, and ugly. We'll start off with the good after that sad piece of news. The Melbourne Stars defunct as from this day forward. Let's start with the good. And we start off with the State of Origin on last Wednesday, which was a remarkable game one of the series. New South Wales were 20-zip down after the first 20 minutes. And then, of course, we're able to stage the biggest comeback we've ever seen in Origin history, ending up winning 22-20. You were wearing your New South Wales top on your couch on Wednesday night, Pete. Give us a feeling of how you were feeling witnessing, as I said, the greatest comeback in Origin history.
Well, obviously I was in a pretty good mood, wasn't I? Taking out the victory. Again, there is a part of me saying that we were pretty lucky to have
absolutely
Ponga sent off. That was the change. If that didn't happen, New South Wales don't win.
No.
So that's sort of the. I'll take it. And personally, I actually think it was worthy of a send off. Whether or not it was worthy of a full game send off or how long is it these days? 10 minutes? Do they get sent off for?
Yep.
So, yeah, sin bin. I think everyone probably would have been able to cop the sin bin a lot more than the send off because it hasn't been well received. The send off, the full send off of Caleb Ponga. So, like I said, I'll take it. It sets up the series as well, which is fantastic. New South Wales, they don't lose at the MCG. Now I've said that, they probably will. I don't think they've lost there in about 30 years, New South Wales.
Since 94, yeah. So over 30 years, correct.
Yeah. So it's going to be one hell of a game out there at the MCG. Again, we said it last week. On paper, New South Wales should blow Queensland off the park, but they just don't seem to do it. And again, 20 minutes into that game, I was just saying New South Wales don't get State of Origin. Queensland do. and that was shown for that game. So I think the fact that New South Wales now have game one under their belt, they can, I guess, play a little bit riskier because we didn't really see that in game one. It was a very, very safe, I guess, start from New South Wales. They didn't really try to break Queensland open, whereas Queensland, on the other hand, they tried to break things open. So now with game one under the belt, they probably can play a little bit riskier out at the MCG and take a few more risks and just try to, start up the series straight away. So I like that from New South Wales, and now they go into it as favourites. So look, I'm really looking
do,
forward to it. But
do they go as favourites?
They're favourites with the bookies.
Well, I'll tell you what, because as you mentioned, 13-13, Queensland were the far superior team. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
New South Wales racked up their points pretty much when Ponga went off. And look, it's interesting, Ponga got the Klein, the referee, he overruled the video assistants who said, oh, it's probably a sin bin. But Klein was like, nah, clear shoulder charge, he's off. And interesting enough, an incident like that generally results in a suspension. Well, Ponga's only received a $6,000 fine and is available to play game two, which is an interesting verdict from the match review panel of the NRL. The other interesting thing about this game, of course, Ethan Strange, who wasn't even selected originally in the squad, he came in at the last minute for Mitchell Moses, that 5'8", to after Mitchell Moses did a hammy in training. He was unbelievable. For a 21-year-old playing his debut Origin, scores a try, gave New South Wales a running element to their game, which we don't often see because, New South Wales, if you go to that New South Wales team, got quite a few players on the older scale of age, but he was unbelievable on debut. And I reckon he has to play game two. Even though he was a late inclusion to the squad, I think he has to keep his spot for game two.
Yeah, you could be right. Yeah, and you mentioned the older players of New South Wales, but you got to say they were the ones who, once Ponga went off, Cleary, Tedesco, they took control of that game. They stepped up. Cleary was unbelievable from that point. I think earlier in the game, probably not as good, but he showed up at the right time. So, look, you include a youngster, you get the old, and you have the old and new. I think it's always a good thing to have both ends of the stick.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We wait, of course, a game two in a couple of weeks' time. Let's move on to the bad, and that has to go to Collingwood, even though they put in a very competitive performance. I'm not saying it was a bad performance by no stretch of the imagination. However, another loss in a close game. It's the complete opposite to what it was a couple of years ago, where Collingwood used to manage these close games to absolute perfection. That's no longer the case, and all of a sudden the Pies are sitting outside the top 10, let alone the top 6. Thoughts?
Look, Darcy Moore plays that game, and the Pies probably win.
Okay.
That's my thoughts.
What about the best ruck in the comp, Oscar Steen?
That too, because we do struggle now with our clearances. We're ranked last in our clearances.
But you weren't that great in the clearances with Oscar Steen.
Yes, we were. He wasn't in the ruck all the time.
Yeah, true.
In fact, he was in the ruck about 30% of the time. Every time he was actually in, he would dominate the clearances. So get your facts and your numbers right there. Absolutely. Have a look at them.
You're still
go
18.
through them and go
18.
Go through. Yeah, I get that. That's because we don't have a good tap ruckman right now. We gave him away to Fremantle before we knew the rules had changed.
The goat,
the American. Yeah.
He's a very good tap ruckman, all right? And Cameron's a very good ruckman. It's just that the rules don't suit him at the moment. So we're up against it there. But look, Jordan De Goey was unbelievable in the game.
Play well.
Look, the Bulldogs are a good outfit. I mean, they're missing a couple of players here and there, but overall, they've still got some pretty, they got match winners on the park. And they've got match winners to come back into the side. I mean, let's just put it this way. If their full team was still available, they're probably the number one team in the competition. We thought that, sort of 4 weeks into the AFL season that they were the team to beat. And I still believe that they're going to be a part of it as long as that they get their players back, like a Libba, which is, we don't know when he's coming back. I'm just trying to think who else is out at the moment.
Cody Waitman,
but
he's due back this week, I think.
If he comes back in,
Although
so they're
Artie
going to
Jones
get
has
some.
filled that spot pretty well.
Bailey Williams.
Yeah,
currently out.
well, I mean, when you think of that, if Cody Waitman comes in and plays at least to an 8 out of 10 of his potential level, they've probably got the 2 best small forwards in the competition.
No,
as a 1-2 punch.
mate,
Now,
come
no,
on.
I know,
You are
come
an
on,
idiot.
Nick
Come on.
Watson, I know Nick Watson's there, but as a 1-2 punch, they're the 2 best.
Okay,
That's the best combination.
Pairing wise, sure.
Yeah, as a pair, they're the best combination.
Oh.
So, who's better?
Going through Bolton and Reed from Freo.
Yeah,
They're better
not
than Waitman.
bad. I would say
They're
that
not-
those two push up the ground a fair bit too. So I'm not gonna say they're small forwards.
Well, Waitman hasn't played in 2 years. Artie Jones has played 13
I said
games.
if he plays to a level of at least 8 out of 10 of what his potential is, that's the best 2 small forwards in the game right there. So or the best 2 combination in the game. So look, like I said, I'm worried about Collingwood slightly just because we're not getting those wins that we need. We need to bank points at this time of the year. It's the middle of the year. This is just when you got to get those wins under your belt. We've got a pretty easy run coming up, and we would want to probably win close to all of them if we're any sort of threat this season. But it's really without Darcy Moore. And I said it in our premiership year in 2023. We were 1 injury away from not winning that premiership. And that 1 injury was Darcy Moore. And I know he's a little bit out of form this year, but that doesn't matter. He straightens us up. We're able to play attacking football. We score differently when he's in the side. And I know he's a backman, but it's all about how you get the ball into your forward line, how you deliver it, how efficient you can be. And you do that off your run and carry off the back line and rebounding off your back line. And Darcy Moore's part of that setup. So until he comes back, I don't think Collingwood's going to be too much of a threat, though they should be able to get the wins that they should get. They might sneak into the playoff, what are we calling it, the wildcard rounds. Might be able to sneak into that, I think, if Darcy Moore does miss most of the season. But if he comes back because he's over in the United States at the moment and he's getting his hamstrings looked at, if he comes back and he's fine, we're good to go and we're still a premiership threat. If he doesn't, we're wildcard. We've pushed Fremantle to the brink. We drew with Hawthorn, who everyone thinks is a premiership favourite, and we just took the Western Bulldogs to the limit as well. So we're not in bad form. We just lack the killer punch, the efficiency. We look like we're trying to play a little bit too quickly at times, and not think the play through. So we're not in bad form. We're just not banking the wins.
Yeah, that's fair. You're not finishing off the game.
No, we're not finishing off like we used to. And ever since that 2023 season, I've always thought we used to try to win the game in those situations. In those close situations, we used to try to win them. And I know we had our shutdown tactics and trying to, waste time. But those tactics now seem to have taken over way too much, where we try to waste too much time when we're 4 points in front with 5 minutes to go, rather than trying to get 2 goals up, then shut the game down. So I think there's a little bit of coaching that's got to go on there in the last sort of 5 to 10 minutes of fourth quarters. But like I said, I don't think we're that far off it. We're just not getting the wins. We're very close against some very good opposition. So I'm not super, super worried. We can still be a threat.
Yeah, maybe wild card threat.
No one would want to play us. No one would want to play us in finals. I'll put it that way. If we're at the MCG, 100,000 fans, there will not be a team that would want to play us.
Moving on. Ugly. Your boy Yannick Sinner can't cope with Paraseat, mate. He's 2 years in a row. He's coughed up 2 sets to love leads, serving for the match. And this was a second round match. And I'll tell you what, we're going to have a new men's Grand Slam champion because, of course, no Sinner. Alcaraz, of course, didn't feature in the French Open this year. Djokovic went out in new men's champion, which
good.
A lot of people will say it's probably a good thing for men's tennis.
I'm happy with it. Look, when you say Sinner's my man, I only call him my man because I picked him when he was about number 25 in the world. I said, this kid's going to be number 1 in the world.
Those drugs must be wearing off because he's fatiguing quite badly in matches of late.
Isn't it funny how like the same thing happened at the Australian Open until they closed the roof? So there is something either
These Italians, they
physically,
don't like the heat.
yeah, either physically or
I'm not sure if that's
mentally that
racist or not.
goes on when it gets too hot. And it's obviously partly physical, but I think there's a mental element of it as well that he just really doesn't like the heat. So look, and when you say my man, De Minaur is probably a bigger disappointment.
Yeah, third
The
round
fact that
exit.
the fact that the draw opened up for him once again and he wasn't able to take his opportunity when he was 6-love up in the first set. And we got to think about the guy who he played went off in a wheelchair the game before. So it's a real missed moment once again for De Minaur. But he probably is never going to win the French Open. If that was at Wimbledon, we may have had a different story.
He will never
but-
win a major.
No, but once these things sort of open up, he can do some damage, make a final, make a semi. But yeah, obviously not this time. Once again,
Yeah, well, Jacob Mensick, the player who he lost to in that third round, he's through to the quarterfinals. But I'm probably wouldn't say he's a contender to win the whole thing because, of course, we've still got the number 3 and 4 seeds in the men's in Alexander Zverev. Could this be the one he finally wins after being the bridesmaid so many times over many, many years? And, of course, it's a bit of a surprise.
I really hope not.
Felix Auger-Aliassime through to the quarterfinals. Another player who I would have thought Clay would be his strong suit considering his powerful baseline game, but he's also through. So they're probably got to be the favourites, but there's still some young, talented clay quarters.
He's one player that's really entertaining to watch. So if he gets through, I'm pretty happy with that.
Of course, he once was coached by Rafa's uncle, Tony Nadal. So hopefully you can get...
Actually, on Rafael Nadal, have any of you guys caught up with the documentary on Netflix?
No, it's on my list. We need to.
Yeah, I watched about 3/4 of the first episode.
Yep.
It's good.
Yep.
The only annoying thing is that because he talks,
He talks a little bit like this.
Spanish.
He talks Spanish like 95% of the time. The only time he
seriously?
talks English is in the media. So you've got the voiceover on top, which takes
There's
away.
a voiceover.
Yeah, well, and the subtitles. So
That's weird. So it's like Squid
yeah,
Game.
it takes away a bit of the emotion.
Oh, that's
of it,
weird.
I would say it is a little bit weird. But at the same time, like you find out things that you never knew. Like apparently, I didn't know this. He's a left-hander, obviously on court. He's a right-hander off court. I never knew that about
Spoilers.
Nadal. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I always knew that he had a foot problem, but I didn't know the extent of it and how early on in his career it actually was. So I'll try not to spoil that too much, but that's an interesting part of the first episode
Well,
too.
tell you what, it's interesting. Looking at Rafael Nadal these days,
Oh.
he doesn't look well.
No.
Like there's a picture of him
Yeah.
standing next to Roger Federer, and Federer looked more muscly than what Nadal did. And you could never have said that during his career. Like we all laughed at his left arm was a lot bigger than his right arm, as you mentioned, being a left-hander. But right now, looking at Rafael Nadal, he's a shadow of the powerful athlete he was for 2 decades.
I mean, he's not young anymore.
No,
But
but even still,
no.
it's a major
Change.
decrease.
The thing that you do get from the documentary is that he really didn't want to retire. Like he would, if he could keep going, he would have just kept going. But obviously the body let you down.
Be
so,
be the new Marcus Baghdadis.
yeah. He wanted to keep going. It's really, really hard for him to retire, is what it really shows.
The new Marcos Baghdadis.
He was still going up until a few years ago.
What, the Veterans
Yeah,
Tour?
No, he was coming down to Australia and doing the AO. Up
Yeah, it
until
wasn't
probably a
that
couple,
long ago.
2 or 3
Might be
years, I'm
right.
going to say.
Marcos, yeah, well, it didn't have the career as Rafa though, but yeah, I know what you mean by that. Are there anything else on your mind on the sporting fraternity?
How you feeling, mate?
Thoughts? I'm getting there. I'm
Good.
definitely getting there. My face feels better than it looks now. My chin is still like, if I could swear on air, I would. It is so annoying.
No good.
It is munted.
It's still itchy at night, which is really, really annoying. But the rest of the face is getting there. I should be back by next week on the pod, which will be good. I'll be still a little bit pink, reddish in the face, but I'll be a lot more healthier
That's right.
looking than what I was. So
I'll modify the lighting in here so no one can see you properly.
yeah. So like I'm not ashamed by it. So yeah, we'll be out. I think Friday night. I reckon is
Very
when
good.
I'm
Love it.
making my public debut.
Very good.
Or return, not debut. You return.
But on a sporting front, the last thoughts, the cricket. Obviously, super excited to see Ollie Peak make his debut for Australia. Unfortunately, he didn't make too many runs, but he gets his chance again tonight. The one thing I want to leave you with, the mystery spinners. These spinners that don't spin the ball much and they just slide it in. Someone has to just break open Maxwell's mind, Glenn Maxwell's mind, and find out how he was so good against them. And we know why he was, because he could hit 360 all over the park, all that sort of stuff. But we need to come up with plans against these guys, because all we seem to do is want to prod it around the park. They pick up wickets, they get us LBW, they get us with leading edges, all of that sort of stuff. We need a different ploy against these guys who just slide it into the pads, slide it into the wicket, and keep the runs down. And until we do that, we're never going to, be a threat. On Indian soil, on Pakistan soil, or any of those countries over there, Sri Lanka,
Bangladesh. Well, I tell you, they better sort it out quickly, because I know this team's going to be very different to the test side that will go to India later on this year for the Border Gavaskar Trophy. But from what we saw in game one, if that's how Australia are going to play against spinners on spinning wickets, the Indian series might be very, very tough.
Yes,
coming up.
We hope there's an improvement tonight.
Yep, game 2 starting in a couple of hours. But Pete, we'll let you to it. Enjoy, relax, and hopefully we see you next week.
And just for those, just for those viewers out there, all the ones that missed our Pack to Premiership, we will be doing our draft next week when Pete's return.
All right, I'm looking forward to it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, no problem.
Premiership direct Collingwood.
No,
God, please.
Yeah, well, but no one would want to play him. That's a long.
I agree with that. Yeah, in a final, particularly at the MCG, that part I get.
They've got the maturity, they've got the experience in behind them. So look, it's a fair call unfortunately, for my in my eyes. So,
and I was going to say, I'm surprised you didn't jump in when you said we've got a very weak draw coming up, with the next game being against your boys on King's birthday.
Yeah, all of a sudden that game's really important.
That's massive.
That's a massive game for both teams. So, but we will put our tips in as we normally do. AFL talk.
Let's go.
On that, let's speak of the latest round. We opened up with St Kilda and Hawthorn. What an absolute
stinker of a game.
Stinker of a game.
Start the rounds.
St Kilda, 9 goals, 1367 to Hawthorn, 18 goals, 11, 119. St Kilda kept goalless for the first half.
It was a very ordinary performance, and it probably showed how far away St Kilda are, despite, of course, their very busy trade period where they picked up all those players. Obviously, there's still a long way to go. And look, I know there's still no Wanganeen Malira, which is a massive blow, because he's the one star power that they've got and they need in that midfield. They lost Sam Flanders, unfortunately, with a season-long Achilles injury. So that's a major blow. Of course, he was playing some pretty good footy, just making the move from the Gold Coast. But look, Hawthorn were able to do what they wanted. Will Day on his return, even though he played limited minutes, which of course Hawthorn were planning for, he looked very, very good. Jack Gunson kicked 5, and they were able to take him off and rest him for the whole last quarter. And then
I saw that,
Blake
Hardwick, who took his spot as the deepest forward, kicks 4 goals in the quarter to back up his 4 from the week before. So look, Hawthorn, this was a real impressive performance. I think Sam Mitchell mentioned it was the first time Hawthorn's been able to belt a team where they, were able to rest players and manage the squad, of course, which we know is going to be very important come the latter stages of the season. But yeah, I think the story is St Kilda and how ordinary they were.
I've said it all season long, and I've said it pretty much all of last season. Ross Lyon is not a good coach. He needs to join the ranks of Michael Voss and Brad Scott and either walk away or just say thank you very much.
Well, the interesting thing about St Kilda, the last couple of years, they've finished the season strong. Now, they finished the season strong like they have in the previous seasons. They still might sneak into the wild card positions.
Can they though? Will they?
Well, not on the form that they're showing. I definitely agree with that. I know they're still waiting for the return of Max King, but will that ever happen knowing his injury history? Look, yeah, I think St Kilda at the moment, their supporters will be very disappointed with what they're dishing up. And I think, Ross Lyon, for probably the first time in his post-match conference, he bagged his forward, saying we don't have AFL standard competitive forwards. The only time they looked dangerous in the second half was when Jack Silvani made the move from the back line to the forward line.
You beat me to it, kicking 3 goals and TDK getting 2. They were their only multiple goal getters.
Like the likes of Sharman and Caminiti, just they offer nothing.
No.
So it'd be interesting to see if Silvani starts forward in their game coming up against Sydney next week.
Why not?
I think they have to.
Why not?
Because, as you mentioned, if St Kilda are going to make a run into at least the wild card positions, they need to get on a winning streak sooner rather than later.
Yep, exactly right. We then move over to probably our first upset of the round between Carlton and Geelong. Carlton 12 goals, 16-88 to Geelong 12-12, 84.
Oh, Blue fans are talking about wild card positions because they're only a game off the wild card positions as we speak, or maybe 2 games. 2 games?
I'm not sure.
Because they've won 3 in a row now, so they've won 4 for the year. But full credit to Josh Fraser. He's taking the shackles off mainly the experienced players because, again, Wiedering, Cripps played starring roles. Cripps, that mark he took with a minute to go and kicked in the winning goal.
Something has happened since Vossi's gone for him to turn it on.
Oh, he's been unbelievable. It's Brownlow medal.
It is.
Form
This is vintage Cripps. This is vintage Cripps. So, yeah, I don't know, but they need it.
But it's not just the experienced players, also the young players. Like that young Wilson off the half back line's done really well. Ison, Byrne, who, of course, had that shocking moment at the end against Collingwood before Vossi got sacked where he missed a goal on the siren to draw the game. But they're playing their role. Really happy. In Geelong, they'll be disappointed. This is a chance for them to solidify a spot in the top 2. They were in front for the majority of the game. They just couldn't break out into a 4-5 goal lead. Carlton were always able to be within 2 to 3 goals. And then when Carlton got their run on, were able to, of course, in the end analysis, get the lead and win the game. So Geelong will be disappointed with that.
Are we calling Mulligan for Geelong?
Well, they don't have a good record against Carlton. Carlton's had the wood over Geelong for a couple of years now. So whilst, you can give Geelong a bit of a chop out considering, the 2 weeks before that had big wins against Brisbane at the Gabba and Sydney at home at GMHBA. But, I think, listening to Chris Scott, he didn't sound too disappointed. I think he was more concerned about, of course, the Ollie Dempsey non-goal, which happened very early in the game. Yeah. So I'm not going to say it cost Geelong the game.
But momentum, that's the thing.
But
it changes.
It's at the start of the game, though. This was like the first couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But again, you got to question the whole system.
What? Go on.
Why wasn't it reviewed? I know David Roden was confident, quarter behind. He didn't ask for a review himself. But surely
he was too busy getting shoved from behind.
But surely someone upstairs, they've all got mics on. Surely someone says, "Oh, boys, I think we need to go back and review this goal incident very closely."
Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, all that has been spoken of since is that the AFL has come out and said it should have been reviewed, as opposed to an actual result.
That's true.
So, that doesn't help us at all.
No, because the whole point of the system was to get rid of the howler.
Correct.
That was a howler.
Correct.
So, and I know Jared Wheatley was being very passionate in the 24 hours after the game. Now, he's a Geelong supporter, so I wonder if there was some bias towards his call. But everything he said was true, though. And, the system was made to get rid of the howlers. This was a howler. Should have been viewed, and the behind should have been overturned into a goal.
Fix your shit.
Exactly.
Correct.
Put it in simple terms.
We move from one close game to the biggest thrashing of the round, unfortunately.
Yes.
Sydney and Richmond. Sydney, 25 goals, 20.
45 scoring shots.
170 to Richmond, 8-56. 25-20. This could have been a hell of a lot worse than what it was.
It certainly can. And Richmond played actually all right the first quarter. I thought this is a high-scoring game. Like Sydney were always on top in that first quarter, but after that, it was men against boys. And, Sydney coming off a loss, they wanted to rebound pretty quickly. Richmond coming off a win, but only against Essendon. So I always thought Sydney were going to win this game comfortably, but the way they won, so much so, Sydney were able to take Heaney off. They didn't play Grundy, of course. They gave Grundy a rest for the week. Callum Mills was out. Papley was out. McInerney got injured and didn't play in the second half, yet they still won this game with absolute ease.
6 goals in the first half.
8 in the end analysis.
Yes.
6 in the first half. You are correct. Oh, look, I don't think we're going to be convinced about Charlie Curnow until he delivers either one in a big home and away game against the top team, or in a final, because even when in his last year at Carlton, he was kicking bags of 10
Yeah.
against West Coast.
Mhm.
But the big criticism has been in the big games, can he stand up? So, yes, good return to form, gets a bit of confidence, and he feels more comfortable in his new environment. But the question marks will still be out. Isaac Heaney, though.
I was going to say 32 disposals, 5 goals. That's getting you 3 Brownlow votes.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Nice.
if he's missed I think 3 games already this year with injury.
Mm.
So that's probably the only thing that's probably cost him a lead right now in the Brownlow medal count. But just a freak. He's an absolute gun.
Now, your boys.
Yep.
Where do you go?
Well, thank God I got the bye this week.
Can't lose that.
That can't come quick enough. But look, I think once the bye is done and dusted, Richmond will get a hell of a lot of players back. Toby Nankervis. So there's the captain. Big in. Tom Brown, Maurice Rioli, Samuel Lawler will be back in a couple of weeks after the bye. That's just to name a few. I can go on and on and on. So, look, and I've heard people say, is Adam Uze the next one under fire, considering the sackings of Scott and Voss?
No.
He's not.
Come on.
He's never been able to coach a team with any continuity, have his best players on the park consistently. And to be fair, we all know Richmond are in a redevelopment phase, and they're going to probably be in this phase for at least another 12 months. But what we saw on Saturday should not be a reflection on Adam Uze, the coach.
Surely they can see that a lot of it is just young skills.
Absolutely.
And just lack of maturity.
Well,
Adam Uze, he's a premiership winning assistant coach. He has a resume.
He knows what to do.
He knows what's up.
But, as I said, he can't formulate any plans, any game styles until we get consistency with his team on who's on the park. So hopefully in the second half of the year, we do see that. If Richmond win another 1 or 2 games to, match last year's tally of 5, I'll take it.
Yep.
But I guess the year after, his 4th year, with hopefully a little bit more luck with the injury count, I think then we can make a proper assessment of Adam Uze, the coach.
Definitely. Brisbane and Fremantle. Brisbane 10 goals, 18-78 to Fremantle 15-13-103. Safe to say Fremantle are premiership favourites.
Oh, 11 wins on the trot.
Yeah.
And they dismantled Brisbane.
At the Gabba.
Once again, that third quarter of Brisbane, we saw the 14 goals GWS kicked
Yeah.
last week, and we saw Geelong pound them in that third quarter after an even first half. Fremantle demolished them, and it was with ease. The amount of marks Fremantle forwards were able to take inside forward 50, Tracy, Voss, Amiss, it was embarrassing at times. And I know Brisbane got a couple of injuries, particularly in the defensive half. Harris Andrews is leading the line on his own, but it's a whole team thing. The attitude, it seems like...
It's fun. They're having fun.
Wait, we're talking about Brisbane?
Sorry. No, I was talking about Fremantle.
Well, I'm all talking about Brisbane.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, you know what, we've been up on our eyeballs the last 7 years. They've nearly reached a point where they can't go anymore. That's how they're playing. They've still got a talented list. It's not an old list.
No.
Because most of their guns are at the peak of their careers, but just with, shortened preseasons every time they go deep into September, it seems like it's catching up to them. I don't think there's a way back for Brisbane. And I don't want to officially rule the line on them because we've seen Brisbane make big runs in the second half of seasons like they did
last year
and the year before that, but they only had 4 wins up to this point of the season and still made it into a grand final, a premiership, sorry. So, but yeah, it's real concerning. It's real concerning. And I'd love to see Chris Fagan. He's been very, very loyal to his players, even in other years where they've had losing streaks, and we've questioned, why is guys like Cam Rain, who's only getting like 6 possessions a game, why is he not being taken back to the VFL? Well, I think it's nearly reaching a point as we speak that Chris Fagan needs to be real hard on the selection table.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was questioned a couple of weeks back in the media about his lack of changing things up and just running the same script every week. Could you reposition Cam Rayner to sort of fire him up a bit? Could you put him on ball?
Well, he's had cameos on ball, and he's got the body to do so, but
100%.
Give him more time there.
Yeah.
Why not?
Look what happened to... Look, I know I'm going to make an example of Cozzy Pickett. We've put him 80% midfield this year. Look at that. That's ignited something that we expected to come, but that is what ignited his form this year.
And maybe that's what Brisbane need. Just a real powerhouse in the midfield. We know they've got midfielders in Neil, McCluggage, Dunkley, etc. But all those names. Neil's probably the exception. He's still had a pretty good season. But you can't say McCluggage and Dunkley are anywhere near their best. And it's been the story throughout the whole season. So we wait and see. But like going back to Fremantle, this was a team without Hayden Young and Caleb Sarong. So there's two of their best 5 players still to come back into this side. It is scary. There is no weaknesses. And the thing about Fremantle, they can play in all different ways. They can play real fast. They can play real slow. We've criticised Fremantle in previous seasons for being too defensive.
Yeah.
But because they can turn and change the style they're playing within game, it makes them such a dangerous side. So well done, Justin Longmuir. Well done, Fremantle. They have to be the premiership favourites as we speak.
I would definitely agree with that. We have already touched on this game with our Enigma Pete.
The premiership threats, the Pies.
But we will talk about them regardless. Western Bulldogs and Collingwood. Western Bulldogs 14-13-97 to Collingwood 13-15-93. In my eyes, probably the most entertaining game of the round.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Very up and down. I think both teams had their quiet periods, and then they've sort of spiked up a bit. So I think this is one of the better games to see of the round.
It was interesting. Ed Richards, we talked about his return form last week, but in the last quarter where Collingwood decided to tag the Bont, and Ed Allen's credit, he did a really good job on Ed Richards in the third quarter. Went on to Bont. Bont had not much effect in the final quarter.
2 or 3 disposals in that last quarter.
At most, but then Ed Richards was let off the leash, and he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
he's a freak. He's found a new level.
No doubt about it. And Artie Jones is improving with every game.
Has anyone picked him to be the player that he is?
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't think it'd be this good.
Which is quite bizarre when you think about the criticism that Beveridge has had over the last few years of not having much depth.
Yep.
And not wanting to play certain players. I think it's just hats off to their list management.
And tell you, he's a ripping bloke too. He came to my school on Monday, and the kids loved him. He was high five. He was doing signatures with all the kids. He's a ripping bloke. So I do wish well on Artie Jones. Tell you one player for the Dogs who I don't think he's in their best 22. He's only in the best 23, should I say. Adam Treloar.
Yeah.
His disposal. He was never the best user of the footy, even at his peak years at the Giants and Collingwood. But with old age, he's getting to the end of his career. He barely can make a decent pass from 15 metres out, let alone 40 plus.
I think surely he's just there to replace Libba.
Yeah, surely.
Because I can't see any other part of his game that would be in the top best 22.
He can't play up forward.
No.
Can't take a mark, can't kick a goal.
He's too slow and small to play up back.
He's one-dimensional. He has to play in the midfield.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a real concern. But I tell you what, the one thing we didn't talk with Pete, that mark Michael Selwood took in the last minute.
That won the game.
Leo Barry-like.
That won the game.
It did. Because that ball hits the ground, you had the likes of the Goey, McCreary ready to sniff the crumbs. It was just an unbelievable mark. And then, of course, Tim English took the mark from the Selwood kick on the wing, which was huge. And again, shows why Tim English is the Bulldogs' most important player.
Without him, they're French Bulldogs. With him there, they are Bulldogs.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a completely different team, different setup. He got 2 goals as well. So he is their, other than Bond, obviously, he's their second most important player.
Do we think Rory Lobb should move back in the back line? I know he's done very well as a ruck, pinching up forward, but we saw the vulnerabilities in the Bulldogs' back line. Like Buku Khamis is not a key defender.
He's really died off. He gave away 2 free kicks that resulted in goals in the first half.
And McStay could have had his way any time the ball went up in the air.
Yeah.
Is it time that the Bulldogs, now that Tim English is back and playing some good footy, is it time for Rory Lobb to go back in the back line?
Well, they sort of did the ruck tandem a bit during that game, which I think it worked to a degree.
But then Lobb moved up forward. He didn't go in the back line at any stage.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think that took a bit of game away from Mr. Aaron Norton, Pete's other goat. He had a bit of a quiet day on the park. So, yeah, look, I mean, chuck him back. But he's not as mobile as what Buku is. That's the only thing.
But he can play against the Gorillas.
Yeah.
Buku right now can't.
Yeah, true.
And, James O'Donnell is a much improved player. But, again, I want to trust him against the top forwards in the competition.
Yep.
So maybe that's the move that the Bulldogs need to make. But to the Bulldogs' credit, they're 7-5. Despite all the injuries they've had, they're 7-5. They've won, unlike Collingwood, they've won 5 games under a kick or less. So they have been able to win the close games. And like Pete mentioned, they get a couple of key players back over the next few weeks with Libba, Williams, Waitman.
Oh, Libba, we don't know when he's getting back.
Well, true.
Cody Waitman, I think they said possibly next week. He did train well this
He
week.
did.
I'd like to see him back as well. I love Cody Waitman.
Oh, look, he kicked 6 goals in the final. There's
Yeah.
not many small forwards that can do that. So, yeah, I think the Dogs have put themselves in a position where I don't think they're in the top echelon, even with their top players back. I still think defensively they're a bit weak
Mhm.
compared to the top teams in the competition, but we do know their midfield bats as deep as anyone in the comp,
Yep.
which makes them a
does.
dangerous proposition.
It definitely does. We then head over to the remaining 2 games on the Sunday. We open up with Melbourne and GWS. As much as I don't want to talk about it, we will talk about it. Melbourne, 9 goals, 16 to GWS, 19 goals, 5, 70 to 119.
They've got their mojo back to Giants.
Yeah.
They're scoring
they're-
very, very freely, which is good to see.
They're peaking right where they need to peak.
Yep. And Toby Green, Jesse Stringer had good games. Or Jake Stringer had very good games as well. Clayton Oliver, I know he's going to kill you to talk about him, but his season right now was maybe not as good as his peak at the Demons. It's getting very, very close. He's playing some unbelievable footy. And the thing, he's got the likes of O'Callaghan next to him and a couple of other good midfielders. He could be a smoking for all Australian. That's how well Clayton Oliver's going right now.
Yeah, look, definitely. Look, I am happy for him. Of the 2 departures of the year from us in
From
the
Melbourne.
off season, I am happy for him. He does deserve to be back in his best form. It's a shame that we couldn't bring him out of his shell again, unfortunately. But I am happy for him. But yeah, you're spot on. He's playing unbelievably well.
Demons, it wasn't a great result, and you've now lost your last 4 at Alice Springs. And I know Stephen King mentioned that he would love to this deal not to go any longer than what it is.
We don't need the money anymore.
You had 18 more inside 50s.
I know.
So it wasn't a terrible
more
loss.
contested marks as well.
More contested marks, but probably the big question mark, which has been throughout the whole season, despite Melbourne's good form, defensively, it's probably not quite right yet.
Jake Lever was injured with a concussion, so he was out.
He was out, which was a big blow.
Exactly. Harrison Petty's done a foot injury, unfortunately, which look, he's not, when has been up forward for us, we have been okay defensively. Disco Turner's
Done a good job.
He's done a good job to cover that. So I'm not overly worried about that. But hopefully we'll get with the big break between Sunday and then Monday's game. There's Jake Lever will be available for selection pending testing. So he'll be back in, which is really good for us. But no, defensively, we're a very young defensive team.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely something that the one area we need work on. Brody Mychek was back in with 3 goals, which was big.
Good impact.
But again, that leads on to what was Van Rooyen doing all day?
Tell you what, it's bang or bust with Van Rooyen.
Oh,
He's kicking bags of 5 or 6 or nothing.
This is what frustrates me so much. He's the potential to be a top 5 key forward in the league. He's just so inconsistent.
Well, I tell you what, he's got a chance against Collingwood to kick it back because you think Mychek could get Frampton, the number 1 defender.
Yeah.
So you got
okay. Checkers against Collingwood for the first time as
yeah,
well.
which had a bit of spice. Of course, this will be the first game since the unfortunate passing of
Yeah.
Neil Daniels. There's going to be a lot
It's
of
a big game.
It's a big game, and a bit like the Bulldogs game. It's an 8-point game because if Melbourne win this, they separate themselves from the chasing pack
Yeah.
for not just the wild card places, but the top 6 as well.
Well, we are still 6, which is good.
But if you lose, you won't be there.
Yeah, no.
So this is a massive, massive game. It's like we talked about with the Bulldogs Collingwood game last week. And there's so much riding on it. So, yeah, can't wait. MCG, King's birthday on Monday.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one.
How confident are you, by the way?
Look, we've lost 3 on the trot. 2, sorry.
Dogs
2 on the
and
trot. Yeah, 2 dogs
Giants.
and these guys. I think, look, I hope I view this game very much the same as how we played against Essendon. We responded really, really well after that game at Gather Round. So I do expect us to come out firing a bit more, especially given the day that it is. So I am expecting a big response.
And you haven't lost the MCG yet this year.
Correct. Yeah, but not 3:15 on a Sunday.
True. Different time slot.
But yes, we have made the MCG.
You did win on Anzac Day Eve. So you can,
That's true.
you can win outside of
well,
the Sunday.
we are undefeated at the MCG
Yes.
this season. So
Mhm.
that does work in our favour, which is making me very, very confident. We move over to not overly confident.
You are playing a premiership threat.
Yeah, well, okay. Sorry, I'll turn it back a bit. We then move over to our final game of the round, which is probably the most pointless game of the round. West Coast and Essendon. West Coast 12 goals, 13.85. Essendon 8 goals, 7.55. Before we get stuck into it, I want to speak Essendon first.
Well, I tell you what, last time we were doing the pod, only a couple of hours later, Brad Scott got the sack.
Is James Hird a good fit?
Well, I tell you what, the Essendon fans want him back. But I tell all the commentary about if James Hird is interested, how many other prospective coaches will want to go through the process knowing the James Hird shadow in the background? Because we know he's good mates with the president. He played with Andrew Welsh. We know he's mates with the interim coach, Dean Solomon, who was a board member.
Yep.
So is he a good fit? Well, he hasn't coached in over a decade. I know he's done a bit of work at the Giants and he's doing some development work at Port Melbourne in the VFL. Probably not. But,
Really?
but in saying that, Essendon want him. And there's a bit of a redemption story about. Could you imagine? I heard Daisy Thomas mention this. Could you imagine the feel-good story?
Yeah.
James Hird comes back in and makes Essendon all of a sudden great again. It'd be like a movie if it happens.
I'm all for it. I think it'd be a great move, and it's probably what they need because they've been so bad and just mediocre for so long.
Yep.
I think this will put a bit of a fire back in the belly of Essendon fans. So I think they need it as well, not just the
I
team.
agree. Yep.
The fans need it as well.
Yeah, fair call.
And I'm a strong believer in sticking to your roots. Like we had prior to our premiership year, we had Adam Uze come in as an assistant manager. Brad Green was on the board of directors, then became interim president. So I do believe if you stick to your roots with players and all that sort of stuff and personnel, it is good for the culture of the team.
No, I agree.
So I think it's a move that needs to happen.
Tell you what, though, we didn't see the bounce back factor of a sack coach like Carlton had. Their first half was horrendous.
It's funny. I tipped them based on that. Silly me.
Well, I tell you what, not only was the game putrid, but the weather. Did you see the weather in Perth?
Windy as all hell.
Windy, wet. It was terrible.
It's almost like a Tassie game.
But, full credit to West Coast because, we saw 3 weeks ago when they were meant to beat Richmond. They didn't at home. So this was another potential banana skin of a game. But they got the job done. Harley Reid, once again, was unbelievable.
He went full beast mode.
And their last 3 weeks have been very, very good. 2 wins and a very close loss in Scott Pendlebury's record-breaking game.
Is there progress?
Oh, it has to be. 4 wins. What did they win last year? 1?
Mm.
So I think the progress is obvious and clear. So, and we know there's players from Western Australia who play for other clubs at the moment who are looking for a move back home, the likes of Nathan Broad, potentially Mitch Georgiadis. All of a sudden, if Fremantle can't afford them, considering, Fremantle got so many stars on their list, I don't think going to West Coast will be a step backwards because I think West Coast are on the right path in their development.
Yep. Beautiful. Yep. I'm happy with that. But just so I keep going back to it. If James Hird falls through, who would be the next best person?
Well, I'll tell you what, considering the success we've seen of untried coaches, and there's plenty of quality assistant coaches, like someone like a Corey Enright.
Yeah.
Cameron Bruce.
No.
He's done.
No. Well, there was rumors he was coming to Melbourne at some point.
There was some rumors.
So, but yeah, we'll leave it at that.
I think, other than Tasmania, because I think Tasmania need, a recognisable face as their first coach, like a
Mick
Nathan
Malthouse.
Buckley, Ken Hinkley. Maybe not that. Not that.
Recognisable?
Not that recognisable. So they're going to go after Buckley, Longmire, Simpson, Hinkley. But I think with Carlton and Essendon's cases, I think they should be looking for some fresh blood.
It's a tasty time to be an
assistant coach,
a coach wanting to become a full-time coach, a main coach. There is a lot to offer in the league at the moment.
Agreed.
That rings out, what was that, round 12? Let's put our tips in for round 13.
Yes, I've overtaken you on margin basis.
Yeah, I had a stinker. I just tipped 4 of 7.
Got 6.
Yeah, okay, mate, calm down.
I got Carlton wrong.
I think most people did.
Who we got? 7 games.
Thursday.
8 games. 8 games this week. Because Richmond Giants, I think, got the bye.
Yeah, correct. 8 games. So we open up with Adelaide and Geelong at Adelaide Oval.
Oh, jeez.
Adelaide could come out and do something.
They could, but still no Rankin, still no Thilthorpe.
Geelong.
I'm back in Geelong.
Yep. Cool.
They'll bounce back.
Friday night, Hawks and Bulldogs will be attending this game
We will
as
be.
neutral supporters. It's going to be a nice old time.
This will be a great game. Hawthorn have got the wood over the Dogs, and at the MCG, I think that gives me more confidence to tip Hawthorn.
Yep, definitely. They like the Friday night games. They like a bit of a show.
They do. Nick Watson could be on fire in front of a big crowd.
Yeah, definitely will be playing on Buku. North Melbourne and Freo. Freo. Yeah,
Where's this game? Is this a Bunbury game that North
Bunbury.
Melbourne sold?
Yep.
Yeah,
Sure
you got to
is.
go Fremantle.
Yep, 100%. Gold Coast and Brisbane.
Oh, wow. Q
Yeah.
clash. Brisbane had the wood over them. We saw what happened in the semi-final last year, but Gold Coast did beat Brisbane earlier on the season. If Gold Coast are legit, they should be winning this game considering the bad form that Brisbane have shown in the last month.
I'm going Gold Coast.
I'm going Gold Coast. I've given up on Brisbane.
You've given up on them.
Yep. Until they win a game against a top team, I've given up.
If they win this game?
I'll be slowly turning my thoughts around.
Okay. Yep.
I've
Cool.
given up on Brisbane as we speak.
West Coast and Port Adelaide in Perth.
Ooh.
I'm going West Coast.
You have to go West
I'm
Coast.
going West Coast.
I think Port Adelaide thump they copped 2 weeks ago showed us that they're not that good, Port Adelaide. So I'm going West Coast in that one.
Beautiful. Sydney and St Kilda in Sydney.
Sydney.
Essendon and Carlton.
Ooh. Well, look, Carlton should be winning this game. Keep the
On paper, yes.
Josh Fraser streak going. 3 out of 3.
Can you imagine? Four out of four.
He
Can you
should make
imagine?
it 4 out of 4. So Carlton for mine.
Beautiful. And we finish off with the King's birthday showdown between Collingwood and Melbourne. The best team in the league, Collingwood. Apparently. Allegedly. Melbourne.
Melbourne in
They'll respond.
an absolute rip.
I want them to.
It'll be a great game.
Yeah. Oh, it will. It will. There's a lot of emotion involved with this one.
Oh,
Not just from Neil Danaher's point of view. Sorry, a bit loud. But yeah, just the fact that there are. But it's a big. Both teams need to win.
8-point game.
Yep.
Classic 8-point game. There's going to be major repercussions for the loser because Melbourne lose this. That's 3 losses on the trot, and people will start doubting Melbourne's a genuine contender for finals. If Collingwood lose this, they're going to be at least 6 points behind the wildcard places, let alone finals. So,
Yep.
yeah, massive game.
Check his first game against his old team as well, like I've mentioned. So
He'll kick 3+.
nah, I think he'll get injured in the first half.
No, don't say that. Come on, don't say that.
No, yeah, three or four.
Do the D's put a tag? We saw Ed Langton do a very good job on Nick Dacos a couple of years ago. Do the D's put a tag on him?
Last year was, I think it might have been last year. I put. Oh, if there's going to be a tag, it's going to be Colton Threlstrup.
Cap, fair call.
Bring him up forward, put him on ball with Nick Dacos. He loves getting the fork out and giving everyone a bit of a poke and a prod. So I'd like to see that.
I like that.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Alrighty. Game 1 of the Origin.
Yeah, well, we covered it with Pete, but New South Wales 22-20. Look, they needed to win this game. You thought if New South Wales lost at home game 1, you'd think the series would be done and dusted. But, of course, New South Wales have been in this position before under Laurie Daly, where they've been 1-0 up and haven't been able to seal the deal. So this series is not over. And as we mentioned, when it was 13-13, Queensland were the far superior side. Ponga gets sent off. New South Wales able to score 3 tries in those final 20 minutes to win the game. James Tedesco, that catch and try to win the game of that Nathan Cleary bomb was unbelievable for someone who's, past 30 and was, some people doubted his selection at fullback ahead of Dylan Edwards, who's been such a gun, not just for New South Wales, but also for Penrith as well. For Tedesco to pull off that match-winning catch and try was unbelievable for him. So well done, New South Wales, for coming back the way they did, but this series is not over yet.
I'm assuming you guys will be going.
Yes,
to
we are
game
going.
2.
Games, which is the 17th of June, so 2 weeks and a
Couple weeks
day
away.
from now.
Beautiful. Now, we don't have any results from any motorsport, but we will talk Formula One because this week is the big Monaco round.
We're going to quickly talk about because there was NRL games.
No, it wasn't a NRL game, sorry. Yes, go on.
Melbourne Storm did win, and that was a good win too against the Roosters. I know the Roosters had a couple of key players out with injury, but for the Storm to win in awful conditions at Amy Park, 18-4, shows that maybe Melbourne, I don't think they're going to be a premiership threat because they're coming from a long way back. But if they can get on a good run with performances like that, they were very solid defensively. Maybe finals is not out of the calculations just yet.
Very good. They had the Knights and the Eels. Knights getting the win 28-22.
Yeah, the Eels are improving. The last couple of weeks have been a lot better, but the Knights, who've had a very good season themselves, and of course, Killian Ponga backed up from Origin and played very, very well. It's probably the difference between the two sides. That's a very good result for Newcastle.
York West Tigers got a win over the Bulldogs 22-16.
Well, they dominated the first half. To the Bulldogs' credit, they dominated the last 15, 20 minutes without getting enough points on the board. So a much-needed win for the West Tigers, whose form has dropped off after such a great start to the season.
Storm and the Roosters 18-4.
Covered. Storm
Beautiful.
looking good.
Broncos and the Dragons. Broncos 26-30.
Well, this is the big upset. The Dragons finally break their duck for season 2026. Their first win in about 15 games. The Broncos, they're in a world of trouble. You know, Reece Walsh is the shadow of the player that made him the most valuable player of the NRL finals last year. They're getting injuries to key players, and not just key players for the Broncos in Paddy Carrigan and Shabarsky, but they're going to both be out for game 2 of the Origin series, which is going to really make Billy Slater's job very, very difficult. So well done to the Dragons for finally breaking the duck with the Broncos. This has not been a very good premiership defense.
The Raiders and the Cowboys. Raiders getting the win 26-12.
Oh, well, this is one of my tips I got wrong.
Yeah.
We were talking about the Cowboys, how well they've gone, you know, sitting comfortably in the top 8, but then Canberra, who've been very unlucky with injuries, just put in a really good performance. Ethan Strange, who we talked about after a great debut for New South Wales. He was on fire in this game, 2 assists, 1 try. If he performs like that, Canberra will very quickly jump up the ladder very quickly. So good result, Canberra. Disappointing for the Cowboys, though.
Yeah, we finish off with the Panthers and the Warriors. Panthers getting the win 20-18.
Well, this was top of the table clash. Unfortunately, before the game started, you know, people were a bit disappointed that Penrith decided to rest their Origin stars. So there was no Nathan Cleary, there was no Brian Toho, there was no Isaiah Yeo, but they were still able to win. It's a really great performance, and it just shows how strong Penrith are. So if without having the sports bet app in front of me, I reckon Penrith will have to be, after that performance, you know, it's short as $2 for the title. That's how well they're going right now.
Very good. Alrighty, now can we talk F1?
Let's go. Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah, so McLaren's 1000th F1 race.
It is,
They have announced, or they've released their new one-off livery for the weekend at Monaco. It's a good-looking car.
Describe it, because you got this.
I'm assuming you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, to be honest.
It's orange.
Well,
It's a variation of what they've already had. It looks good. I think it should be their full-time car. It looks really, really good.
Well, let's hope they perform, because let's be honest, the Canadian Grand Prix was an absolute disaster, not because of the driver's fault, but certainly the team in general, with that very ordinary tyre strategy that they decided to implement, which didn't work after about lap 1. But yeah, it's important. It's a very important race for McLaren to get back some credibility, because let's be honest, the Mercedes are well and truly in front. Kimi Antonelli's having an unbelievable season, 4 wins on the trot. And this is a guy who's barely turned 20.
Yeah.
It's scary. So big race for McLaren.
I don't know. I know you and Pete's opinions on the race. I'm genuinely looking forward to this race.
No. I like the Monaco Grand Prix for
You like
its
it?
aesthetics. I know Pete.
Oh yeah, but, as a whole,
As a track, there's better.
yeah,
on
for
the,
sure.
on the championships.
But I
calendar.
don't know. There's an aura to it
There is no. I agree with that. I 100% agree with it.
compared to all the other races on the calendar. I think this has probably got the most aura to it. And I look forward to staying up. What time is it?
11 o'clock Sunday
11
night.
That's easy. That's doable.
And you got the long weekend, of course.
Exactly right. Yeah, I get to sleep in. I get to start later on the Monday, which is good at work.
And it's good that we've reached a European stage, because now the race is going to be coming thick and fast. I think there's one straight away the week after in Barcelona.
Very good.
So this is the fun part
It
of
is
the Formula
indeed.
1 season.
Now, there were a couple of practice games for the Soccer World Cup.
Yes, and of course, the Socceroos squad was announced Monday morning.
Yes, it definitely was. Sorry, apologies on all the coughing. Yeah, so I think we are extremely close. How far away are we exactly? 11th of June.
Well, that's the first game, Mexico
Yeah.
versus South Africa. Of course, the Socceroos start their campaign against Turkey. But as I mentioned, they announced the squad. The final 26 have been announced. And of course, the big story is Christian Volpato, who, of course, initially wanted to play for Italy, but he's made a very
Yeah,
last-minute switch
Saw
back
that.
to Australia.
Well, that makes sense because they're not in the World Cup.
Well, true, but it has upset quite a few fans because, of course, as a result of Vapato coming in, Martin Boyle, who's been a very reliable performer for the Socceroos and was integral during the whole qualifying process, he's the man who's missed out in the final squad of 26. So, look, hopefully for Volpato, he makes a statement and performs well at the World Cup. I think that's the only way he's going to win the hearts of the Socceroo fans.
Yeah.
And this is a young team. There's 18 players of the squad of 26 who have never been to a World Cup. And a lot of people say that this is the most talented squad the Socceroos have had probably since 2006, which, of course, was labelled the golden generation. So the performance against Mexico in the friendly on Sunday afternoon wasn't great. Second half was a lot better than the first half, where they created some chances. Mo Toure should have scored when he was one-on-one with the keeper, with the keeper absolutely stranded. But we want to see a bit more attacking flair than what we saw in that friendly. I think they've got one more friendly coming up against Switzerland, if memory serves me right, a week prior to their first game in the World Cup against Turkey. But I'll just quickly go through the squad. As I mentioned, 18 debutants in terms of World Cup football. We got Patrick Beach, so there's one Melbourne City representative who will probably play as the third keeper behind Matt Ryan and, who's the other goalkeeper? Whose name escapes? Not Joe Gauchi, who was another one who was interested, left out of the squad of 26. We got Patrick Beach, Azad Bajic, of course, the Melbourne City captain, Jordan Boss, Cameron Burgess, Alessandro Cocati, Milos Denijek, Cameron Devon, Jason Guerrier, Lucas Harrington, the young 18-year-old, who's done an amazing job in Scotland since making the move from Brisbane Roar. Adrian Hrustic, Nestori Irakunda, who we can't wait to see after some of the things we've seen in the championship, was him playing for Watford. Jackson Irvine, who's one of the more experienced players in the squad. Jacob Italiano, Paul Izzo, so he's the second keeper in the Socceroo squad. Matthew Leckie returns after an injury-interrupted season for Melbourne City, but if he does play, it means he's featured in 4 World Cups, which equals the record with Timmy Cahill. Connor Metcalf, Owen Mabil, Aidan O'Neill, Paul Ocon, Englester, which of course is Paul Ocon's son. Matty Ryan, who I presume will start as the number 1 keeper after he started between the sticks in the game against Mexico. Harry Sutter, Mohamed Toure, Kai Trewin, Nishan Velupale, Christian Volpato, and Tete Yengi is the other one who has not yet played for the Socceroos, but has been doing very, very well in Japan. So, look, it's a very good squad in terms of talent, but with the inexperience and playing against teams in their group, such as Paraguay and Turkey, who have a lot of experienced players when it comes to international football, that's going to be the biggest question mark, whether or not the Socceroos can get through to the elimination stages of the World Cup.
Very good. Very, very good.
Very quickly, Champions League final, of course,
Yes.
happened Sunday morning. PSG winning their second consecutive Champions League title. Winning on,
Poor Mbappe.
well, no, ever since he's left, PSG have been able to pick up the big trophies in European football. Arsenal started well, scored in the 6 minutes. Kai Havertz scoring. But after that, and this has been the criticism of Arsenal throughout the whole season, they didn't look like they wanted to score a second goal. They just defended, and they did a good job defending. But then PSG got a penalty in the second half, Dembele converting it. Then they dominated all the way through the 90th minute, all the way in extra time, where Arsenal only had 28% of the ball and only had 1 shot on goal for the whole game, which was the goal in the 6 minutes. So I think justice was served, that the team that tried to play positive football, and we know PSG are an absolute attacking threat, I think the right result happened in the end, even though, of course, it went to a lottery of a penalty shootout. So well done, PSG. Arsenal fans will still be celebrating. Of course, we know they won the Premier League. And, of course, the other big news, English football, Arne Slot got the arse. 2 years. This was a man who won a Premier League title in his first season as a manager. We know this season has been a flop, even though they qualified for the Champions League, but from 1st to 5th, and so much so that the supporters were just disillusioned with the way Liverpool were playing compared to what we've seen in the Jurgen Klopp era. So it's going to be very interesting to see who takes over that role. The 2 leading candidates at the moment is Iriola, who, of course, had that great season at Bournemouth.
Who?
Iriola.
Oh, right. As opposed to where he's his cousin Areola.
That's your dad coming out right there. But he had a great season with Bournemouth, getting them to the Europa League for the first time. So it's out of him and, of course, Luis Enrique, who, of course, has been the PSG manager in their golden run the last 24 months. So, look, personally, I'd love to see Luis Enrique in the Premier League. Let's see him in the best league in the world because, of course, we know the French league's pretty easy, particularly for the team with the quality of PSG. So I'd love to see Luis Enrique make the move and see if he can do something that Pep Guardiola did and absolutely dominate in the EPL. But time will tell.
All right, let's talk hockey. It's been a big week. So
Do we just start with NHL?
Yeah, no, we'll start with we'll get the Australian games out the way.
I don't want to talk about the Melbourne Ice. It's hard.
Yeah, look, all the positive news out of the whole thing. Tatsu Ishida has officially been announced as our third import for the Melbourne Ice for the season. Good to see old Tatsu back in net on Friday night up against the Melbourne Mustangs in the third derby. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to carry the team too much on his shoulders. We got the loss against the Mustangs 6-3 with that one there. But I tell you what, defensively, we are absolutely shot. Absolutely shot.
And it's the complete opposite to how they built their premiership success
100%. I actually sat down and did a quick comparison of the personnel from last season to this season. There isn't too much difference, but the key defenders are the ones that aren't there, which and it is blatantly obvious that it's just hurting our team. There was, I think the second period alone, I think 80% of the puck was in the Mustangs offensive zone. It was just a hard game to watch as an Ice fan, and the supporters are getting very frustrated.
And I guess the other surprising aspect, considering the Ice beat the Mustangs only, 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
You just can't explain such change in fortunes.
I can.
I'll go.
There was nowhere near as much passion and emotion in this game as what there was with last game. We absolutely thrive when it's a bit spicy.
There's not enough spice.
Not enough spice. It was too flat. Mustangs didn't play a lot of their players who played against us last time, which caused all the problems. So Hayden Dawes, he had a bit of a meltdown in that second derby. And Joey Hughes, who was at the Melbourne Ice last year, who's had a few key things to say about the Ice since moving on. But both of those guys didn't play, and they were probably the two biggest antagonizers in that second derby. So when there's a bit of spice involved, we fire up more. We are missing players who did start the season. His name's Lakeshi.
Yep,
he's got a bit of a mouth to him. I think we need him back urgently just to get him under the skin of the other teams. But yeah, it was a very deflating loss, unfortunately.
And the Mustangs were able to back it up because their problem throughout the season has been when they've had a good win earlier in the weekend, they haven't been able to back it up, but they were able to do this weekend.
Oh, yeah, up against Adelaide on the Saturday. Adelaide is still yet to win a game in regulation time. They have got the one win, which was in overtime, but no regulation wins for them so far. And I can't imagine the season get any better. I think I mentioned last week that Josh Adkins, who was one of their key forwards, has moved over to the Melbourne Ice in a couple of last week, I think it was. So, yeah, look, Adelaide Adrenaline, they are really struggling. I don't see them getting much better, unfortunately. A couple of key games we had, the Sydney Ice Dogs and the Central Coast Rhinos. The Sydney Ice Dogs getting the big win 11-5. Brisbane Lightning and the Newcastle North Stars. Newcastle North Stars not getting the win in this one, surprisingly, losing that one 7-3. Sydney Bears and Perth Thunder. Perth Thunder getting a big win 6-1. The Adelaide Adrenaline had their second game against the Melbourne Ice, and we did get our third win of the season against the Adelaide Adrenaline, winning that one 5-9. So we are scoring.
But again, defensively, a bit of a concern.
100%.
Conceding 5.
There were a couple goals that Adelaide got against the Ice and Tatsu that were probably Tatsu's fault. He could have been a bit better, a bit more positioned, a bit better. But yeah, it's
bit rusty.
Bit rusty.
We'll
blame the jet lag from Japan. But we are scoring when we can. So that's the positive sign. Just tighten it up a bit defensively. Central Coast Rhinos and the Canberra Wave getting the win in at AIS 4-3. And Lightning and the Sydney Ice Dogs getting the win 8-7. And as it stands, the Newcastle North Stars are still leading the ladder against the Ice Dogs. They're up by 3 points, 26-23. The Melbourne Ice, they were second last on the ladder with their win against Adelaide. They have jumped up a spot to it's going to be 8th. And the Mustangs are sitting nicely in 4th at the moment. So they're setting themselves up well. We are about a third of the way through the season. So we are we're in the important phase.
So you're not yet ruling out the Ice.
Not yet.
Plenty of time still to recover.
Well, there's still, so each team could have 6 imports. We've only announced 3. There's going to be some more on their way. We are still extremely undermanned as well. So if there's imports do end up falling through, the 3 that haven't been announced, that we'll get more personnel, which means more rest between shifts on the ice, which means more effort.
Let's talk NHL because I tell you what, we've got a very juicy Stanley Cup series coming up.
Puck drop tomorrow, 10 a.m. between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Golden Knights of Las Vegas.
Well, we talked last week about how good the Golden Knights did, clean sweeping that series against the Avalanche. But the Hurricanes, their last 2 wins against the Canadians, they were beltings.
They were
5-1 and 4-0.
Yep.
So they come into this series with a lot of form themselves. It's a real toss of the coin job. I don't know about you, Sammy, who you're going to pick for the Stanley Cup, but I, at this point of time, cannot split them.
Golden Knights, they always show up. They always show up in the playoffs. I'm back in Carolina, purely based on the fact the Golden Knights won one not too long ago. So the Hurricanes are, in my eyes, the underdogs. I'd like to see them get the win, but it's going to be a great series. A lot of people aren't tuning into it though.
Why's that?
2 not very popular teams. I think it's going to be very boring.
Oh, come on.
I know. If anything, it should make it more interesting.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, puck drop tomorrow at 10 a.m. and you better believe we will be all over it.
Certainly will. And talking about players, of course, the NBA finals, we know who's going to be featuring because game 1 will be on Thursday.
San Antonio and the New York Knicks.
San Antonio, they came out of nowhere. They were 3-2 down the series against Oklahoma, of course, of the defending champions, and they went bang, bang, even to win game 7 real comfortably in the end away from home at Oklahoma. So the Spurs, they've got a lot of scoring talent. They're a young team. And the first 2 games, and this is going to be a big advantage for them, the first 2 games are at San Antonio. They would want to at least, at the very least, be 1-1 before they travel to New York. Because, of course, we know the Knicks, they've been in unbelievable form. They've won their last 10 playoff matches, clean sweeping their last 2 series 4-0. So could that be a disadvantage, though? Have they had it too easy into the lead up to this championship final series? That's going to be the big question mark. So this is going to be a juicy affair. I'm going San Antonio. I think what they did in those final 2 games against Oklahoma with all the pressure on them was unbelievable. So game 1, Thursday at San Antonio. We can't wait for that. There's no doubt about it. Are we moving on to tennis? Sammy? Yeah,
all yours, mate. All yours.
Well, I'll tell you
actually, just quickly, sorry, one more bit of information. Just with the
Go.
AIHL, it was announced today that when the Stanley Cup playoff series finishes, the ESPN will be playing 1 game of AIHL through ESPN platforms.
Oh, nice.
For the remainder of the season, including all playoff games.
That's big news.
KO, Foxtel, Fox Sport, and Disney Plus, you'll be able to watch some AIHL. So I implore everyone who is interested or doesn't know anything about it, watch a game. It is such an entertaining game. You will not be bored.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, just before I go on to tennis, because, of course, we're up to the quarterfinals, so both the men and women's draw. Have we had any comments on YouTube?
A few things about James Hurd, which we've already touched on. Some compliments on my new spectacles.
They're looking very good, Sammy.
Thank you.
Before the pod started, I'm like, Sammy, you look very sleek with them. The frames suit you very nicely.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's a big change for me. I've never worn glasses full time before, so we'll see how we go. Might end up launching them across the room if I get frustrated with them, but so far so good. And one from Mr. Peter Cahill. Melbourne do still need money. Sure. You can never have too much money.
No, but if Melbourne are successful by winning more games at the MCG than having to travel to Alice Springs, that will get more money.
Correct. 4 points means more at this point than a little bit more money.
I probably get $1 million every time you play a game there. Something on that mark.
Something like that.
But as I said, we've got quarterfinals of both the men and women's draw start the French Open. There's one happening as we speak. the young 19-year-old Mira Andreeva, who's got to be up there with one of the favourites to take out the Women's French Open. She's already set up. She won the first set 6-love and is 2-1 up. Oh, sorry, 2-1 down in the second set, but it's on serve against the veteran Romanian Simona Cristea. So you think the number 8 seed will get through to a semi-final. The other quarterfinal is an absolute ripper. 2 Ukraine girls. So we want to have a Ukrainian girl into the semi-finals for the first time ever at Roland Garros. You got Elena Svitolina, the number 7 seed, the veteran, of course, the wife of Gael Monfils, who, of course, played his last ever French Open when he got knocked out in the first round. She takes on Marta Kostyuk, the 15th seed. Now, Kostyuk had a massive win against Iga Swiatek, who we know has dominated on the clay at Roland Garros. So Kostyuk probably starts favourite, despite her being the lower-ranked player out of the two. That's going to be a fascinating quarterfinal. Then the men's singles, Alexander Zverev. We've talked about how he's never been able to win a Grand Slam. He's fallen short at the final hurdle on many occasions. According to the bookies, he's a very short price favourite to take out the whole thing. He's $2.30 to take out the French Open title, which I'm a bit surprised how short he is, considering his choking tendencies. He takes on the young Spaniard, Jota, the number 27 seed, who is a clay court specialist. His hero, no surprise, Rafael Nadal. He was named after Rafael Nadal, being Rafael himself. But watch out for this kid. On clay, he could go all the way. But he'd take out the number 2 seed in Zverev. Time will tell. That's going to be a fascinating quarterfinal later on tonight. And then for the first time, we're seeing women play at night on centre court, and this quarterfinal is going to be an absolute ripper. No, it's actually tomorrow night. I was thinking of Sabalenka, but the other night game tonight, or which will be tomorrow morning our time, Mensik, who of course knocked out Alex de Minaur, the 26th seed. He takes on João Fonseca, the young teenager from Brazil, who has had a lot of big raps on ever since he made his debut 2 years ago as a 17-year-old. Fonseca, of course, was the one who knocked out Novak Djokovic in 5 sets in the third round. So this is going to be an absolute ripper. I really hope Fonseca gets through, because I think he potentially could go through all the way and take out the French Open, which, like we mentioned, it's going to be great that no matter who wins in the men's, we're going to have a new Grand Slam champion outside of Jannik Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, and Novak Djokovic. So with both draws, it's very, very hard to pick a winner. Like, it could be easy. It could be very easy for me to say, oh, yeah, Zverev being the number 2 seed, he takes out the men's, and Sabalenka, who's never won the French Open, she being only the only player out of the top 6 to still be in the women's draw. It'd be very easy to say those two will win the men's and women's respectively, but I've got a feeling in both draws, we might have a surprise winner come the weekend. So plenty of quality tennis to watch. And it's unfortunate that unless you have Stan Sport, you don't really get much coverage of the French Open. So
Kind of a shock. I remember they used to play that on like Channel 9 later.
yeah, Channel 9 used to show it. And you would have thought, now I might be wrong, because of course we know Channel 9 is connected with Stan. I wonder if any of the digital channels on Channel 9 are showing any of the French Open action.
Surely.
Surely. It'd be a waste if it's not.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
I
blame Craig Tiley.
Wow, I tell you what, have you heard who's the new chairman of Tennis Australia?
Well, it wouldn't have to happen to be old mate who just stepped out as the NRL.
Yeah, Abdo.
Yep.
He's got no tennis background.
Well, Craig Tiley didn't.
Yeah, that's true. It was
And you know, it's I said it to Pete a lot. It's a business.
true.
It's not, you don't have to be a sports person to run a business.
But in saying that, I heard Pat Cash come out and he says, let's be honest, the Australian Open is a business and as a tournament is striving.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely killing it.
100%.
But in terms of the junior development, when was the last time we had an Australian junior go through the ranks and perform consistently on the world stage? And you can't say Alex de Minaur because a lot of his junior tennis was overseas.
I know.
So in this role, don't just worry about the Australian Open, worry about the grassroots of Australian tennis, because once upon a time, believe it or not, I know for those, the modern generation will find it hard to believe, Australian tennis was up there with the best in the world. It hasn't been that for at least
10 years.
Even longer than that. I'd even say 2 decades.
Wow.
20 years. So
probably
concerns.
since Leighton. That's a fair call.
With that era, Hewitt, Philippoussis,
Yeah.
Rafter.
Yeah.
the women weren't as strong, but you still had the likes of Alicia Molik, who was
Yeah.
competitive and doing well at Grand Slam level. But yeah, that's got to also be a major point of business for Mr. Abdo coming into this new role.
It's a big step up. It's a big step up. I mean, you got NRL, which is an Australian-based league. You got AO, which is worldwide.
Yeah.
So that's a big step up, and I hope he does well. I hope he does as well.
Indeed. You got any other news? I've got a little bit of cricket outside of. We should probably, if you weren't here for the top of the show, the big news that we broke.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
One of the few
Rebroke,
but one of the few jump on it. Melbourne Stars, Melbourne Renegades will not be part of the BBL. They will merge into a Melbourne franchise. They will be wearing the navy blue. We don't know what their nickname will be. We did mention it'd be great to bring back the Bush Rangers name.
I just thought, if you were in the navy blue, can it be the Bush Rangers?
Well, they wore that when they were the Victorian Bush Rangers. They wore
Were
navy
they?
blue. Yep.
So why am I imagining? No, I'm just imagining yellow and gold. I don't know.
Well,
why.
they did. It was navy blue with yellow navy gold
okay,
stripes.
right.
So, yeah, why not bring it back? Real quickly, of course, the second one-day international is starting very shortly between Australia and Pakistan. Australia need to win to keep the series alive after the disappointing 5-wicket loss on Saturday night. The IPL is done and dusted. Virat Kohli has won another title, so back-to-back titles for RCB. They chased down 155.
Did you see him not shaking hands with one Travis Head?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, the amount of abuse Travis Head and his family's copped ever since, when it wasn't Travis Head's fault. Virat was the one who pulled the hand away for the handshake. I tell you what, for someone who's got so much passion, and let's be honest, Virat Kohli loves getting.
He loves being.
He loves winding up the opposition.
Yeah.
So surely he could cope with a couple of friendly words, a bit of banter when Travis Head was bowling to Virat in that game between the Sunrisers and the Challengers. Honestly, grow up, Virat. You're better than that. But to Virat's credit, in the biggest game of the IPL, he won the man of the match. He made 75 not out of 43 balls. Good to see Tim David and Josh Hazlewood make important contributions towards the title win. Hazlewood 2 for 37 off his 4 overs, and then Tim David made 24 off 17 balls to get Bangalore over the line for their second consecutive title. One thing that a lot of cricket fans can't wait for is Test cricket. I know, well, you're not a cricket fan in general, but Test cricket will be back. England, New Zealand, Test 1 starting on Thursday, which is a big series, even from an Australian perspective, because, of course, New Zealand are coming out to Australia for our summer for 4 Test matches. And we know New Zealand have a pretty ordinary record away from home. They haven't beaten England in a series in England since 1999. They haven't beaten Australia in a series since 1985. However, they did beat India 3-0 in India, which is a very difficult thing to do. So we'll be interested to see how New Zealand go in England. And, of course, England after that disastrous Ashes series where they didn't pull any punches whatsoever, or throw any punches whatsoever. Brendan McCullum, very lucky to keep his job. Will England make changes to the way they play? Will it be a refined Bazball, or will they continue to play that reckless cricket, which, let's be honest, got them nowhere last summer? So Thursday, 8 o'clock, England, New Zealand. That's a 3 Test match series. That is going to be certainly a lot of people having them late nights viewing. Not yours, though, Sam.
No, definitely not. Guess what?
What's that, mate?
I've got enhanced news.
Yeah, before we go any further, did I hear the company that ran the enhanced game, their stocks have gone down by 40%?
Yeah.
Is that true?
It is. I don't know the exact figure, but it was definitely a financial failure.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they are already talking about next year.
And I've heard they're going to increase the prize money an absolute bucket load.
So not long after, I'm talking like within days of it concluding last week, Australian CEO, Maximilian Martin, who names their kid Maximilian? I mean, if he's out there listening, help us. He has come out and said that so this year, there was if they had broken the world record, they get $1 million bonus, $1 million bonus,
which the Greek swimmer did.
Yes,
his name escapes me.
Yes, he has come out and said that if anyone can beat Usain Bolt's 100-meter sprint record of 9.58 seconds, the bonus prize will be $10 million US.
I heard an increase, but that's ridiculous.
$10 million US.
Oh, huge.
I'm gonna start training.
Well, you were a gun athlete as a junior back in the day.
Yeah, keyword in that junior.
Junior, yeah, well.
But yeah, so obviously can't be that much of a financial failure if they're doing that.
$10 million
Yeah.
to break Usain Bolt's world record.
I struggle to see that be broken in the regular Olympics, let alone a bunch of old timers juiced up doing it.
Well, here's a question, because you follow athletics more closely than me. What's been the closest time since Usain's when he completed that
It would have
world record?
been Noah Lyles at one of the world champs a couple of years ago. I can't remember the exact time, but it would have been 9.6 something or
So
just
maybe
under
0.1 of a
9.7.
seconds.
Yeah,
behind.
yeah. Bee's dick sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
I love that
but
phrase.
yeah, 10 mil. Go for
Go
it.
for it. Juice up, baby. Start doing it now.
And I can only imagine. Well, I'm sure they probably have.
Yep.
I mean, well, they probably have the same sort of time frame for preparing for this year's enhanced games. So, but yeah, we'll wait and see. We will wait and see.
Just from the social media reaction, because it was funny. I think the biggest audience at one stage, of course, it was all broadcast on YouTube.
Yeah.
The biggest was only 60,000 at one
Well-
particular stage. Is that enough? That surely's got to be deemed a failure in terms of a attraction for the sporting audience of the world.
I would say so. I mean, it wasn't really pushed much here in Australia. Like, there's no mainstream media outlet that mentioned anything about it, other than, well, we're not mainstream, but we talked about it. So I think if they're gonna go bigger and better next year, they're gonna have to branch out a bit.
Which Australian athlete from the past would you want to see juiced up?
Oh, from the past,
Matt Shervington. Just give up. You've done very well in the media, Shervo. We all know about Shervo's lunchbox.
he can afford to lose. He can afford to lose a couple inches with steroids. That's a fair call.
That's a very fair call. Here's one who comes to mind.
Yeah, I think he's probably a bit too far gone to do it. There has not been much. Scott Martin in some throwing events.
Yes.
I think he's too much of an honest guy though to do that sort of thing.
Jeff Hugel. I know his weight fluctuated, but he did make the comeback, and he did pretty well in his comeback. I see he's the sort of personality that will enjoy the challenge and the limelight, even though it might not be.
It'd have to be a swimmer. There's no track athletes in the past 20 years that's been worth mentioning.
Yeah,
it'd have to be a swimmer.
Weightlifter. There's weightlifting as well.
Oh yeah, who cares about that though?
Well, that's fair. Well, with that $10 million offer with breaking Usain Bolt's world record,
there'll be a line of people wanting to put their hand up.
Let's do it.
And that could be why they're doing it as well.
Yeah,
try and get more people involved.
Yep. Oh, well done, Maximilian. Well done for bringing this new initiative.
Thanks for opening up your back pot, your wallet. You know,
he's got plenty of money to splash around.
He definitely does. Well, bit of a short one compared to the last few weeks, which is okay with me because I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah, we're going to get some dinner down in High Street, Preston.
Aljana, shout out for some sponsorship.
Breaking my Eastern chicken virginity. Can't wait.
Popping that chicken. Mate, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Great. Hopefully, might not be the same time next week. We'll probably get back to our regular scheduled Monday.
Well, King's birthday.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be a spicy episode. That's...
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
Tuesday might be hard for me because it's actually my birthday next Tuesday. Hey! So the family might be requiring me, so we're going to have to work. There.
Monday we'll make it work. I'm assuming Pete will probably be going to the game.
Presume so.
Yeah, okay.
I'll be late. We're on holiday, so on a holiday.
You guys are.
Well, yeah, but Tuesday we're back to work.
Anyway, that's fair.
We'll work it out.
But thank you very much, YouTube,
thank you, Sammy.
and amongst other platforms, etc. It's been a pleasure.
Done.
Your weekly pint of sports juice, presented by the Keys Leisure Centre, Preston. Eat, drink and bowl at the Keys sprawling beer gardens, lanes, arcade bar and bistro. Let's go, lads.